I will call to order the meeting for Wednesday, August 27th. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor Allen,
Present?
Mayor Pro Tem Clayton,
Present.
Commissioner Kaler,
Present.
Commissioner Crowley,
Present.
and Commissioner Skidmore.
Present.
And I would like to welcome everyone here in the audience as well as anyone watching or listening at home. We will begin the meeting today with a Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Pastor Greg Hall with Life Mission Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Commission, for allowing me the opportunity to pray. I'm just going to read from Proverbs chapter 2. The Lord gives us this promise when we look to him for guidance. It says, "For the Lord gives wisdom, and from his mouth come knowledge and understanding, because he stores up sound wisdom for the upright, and he is a shield to those who walk uprightly." So with that, let's pray. Lord, we thank you for your good promises because they flow from you. You're such a good God. When we look to you, God, for your leading, you love to lead and guide us. And so I pray, Lord, the blessing of God over this commission. I pray, Lord, that their hearts would always be inclined and have a listening ear for your voice, God, to lead and guide them to make the best decisions possible, Lord, for this community that would bring in the blessing of God. Thank you for your goodness to us. Thank you so much that we have a great hope in you, and I pray your blessing over them in the great name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you all.
Thank you, Pastor. We will move on to public comments. Do we have any registered?
We have none registered.
Okay. We will skip over the next item with nothing under that. We'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes minutes from the August 20th, 2025 regular meeting, minutes from the June 17th Ottawa Memorial Auditorium Advisory Board meeting, and minutes from the June 26th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting, as well as the agenda approval. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Okay.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially.
Madam Mayor, I'm a partner on South Haven Estate, so I will recuse myself from both items 11C and 11D when the discussion comes up.
Thank you. Any others? Okay. We will skip over unfinished business as there's nothing under that, and we'll move on to item 11A.
Request for approval of a resolution authorizing the serving of complimentary alcoholic liquor and enhanced cereal malt beverage during Ladies' Night Out.
The resolution supports the Ladies' Night Out event scheduled to take place in downtown Ottawa on September 26th, 2025. And presenting on this, we have Clerk RHID.
Afternoon, Mayor Commissioners. Today's item is considering the approval of a resolution authorizing complimentary alcoholic and enhanced cereal malt beverage services for the Chamber's Ladies' Night Out. The Chambers hosted this event for over 20 years. The event will be September 26th from 1 to 7. As I stated, it's hosted by the Ottawa Chamber of Commerce. It starts at Legacy Square. They're planning on having over 600 participants and 40 plus businesses along Main Street. And this resolution allows them to apply to the state of Kansas so that businesses may serve alcohol. There's no fiscal impact for this resolution, and the city attorney has approved it to as form. And Rylan is here for any questions as well.
And we do this annually, is that correct? It's essentially the same thing.
Yep, same resolution, just dates changed.
Sure.
Ryland, how many years has this been going on?
It's the 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
That's why I thought this was a big
20th
deal.
anniversary.
Is there still time to sign up?
Absolutely is. Yep, actually.
Please, I was going to give you some time to plug it.
Yeah, I'll just say the exact same.
Not decline that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so no, 20th anniversary, which is a fantastic accomplishment for any event to be able to go on that long. And so the event, as you can see, takes place on September 26th, which is a Friday from 1 to 7. It is not too late for businesses or any organization to participate. So whether you have a brick and mortar store, you can sign up on our website by contacting our office or also through our newsletters if you receive those. And then what that looks like is being able to be open during that time period, inviting women either into your establishment, or if you don't have a brick and mortar store, you can even set up at Legacy Square. We usually have around a dozen or so businesses that utilize that space to be able to set up a booth. And it looks very much the same if you're at Legacy Square versus you have a table, women participate in a scavenger hunt, get prizes, and have a really good time in Ottawa. And so not too late to be able to participate as a business. And also there's no actual registration for women. It's a free event. And so just show up there on the day of. We do have t-shirts for sale to be able to take advantage of the day and have you and your posse match. But otherwise, as I say, it just be September 26th from 1 to 7. Stop by at Legacy Square to get yourself a bag and your supplies and then start the scavenger hunt.
So would the business or vendor reach out to the chamber
Correct. Yes,
on
sir.
the website, or
Exactly that. Yep. There's a online registration portal to be able to get signed up.
what's that website?
OttawaKansas.org. That's Ottawa, Kansas, all spelled out.org.
Thank you.
You betcha. Thank you.
Any other questions? How do we like to proceed?
Madam Mayor, I'll make the motion that we approve item 11A as listed on our agenda.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? May I have roll call vote, please?
How do you vote? Vote Mayor Pro Tem Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
yes,
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
And Mayor Allen?
And I vote yes, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to item 11B.
Resolution updating water tap fee schedule.
The governing body will consider a resolution amending the city's water tap fee schedule to establish a qualified fee structure based on full recovery and eliminate the separate rural tap fee rate. And we have Director Sneelan here.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. We spoke back in June, actually the June 18th regular meeting. We talked about the need to restructure our tap fees due to the financial loss that the city was undertaking on each of the sized meters 2 inches and below. And after doing a little more research, we realized that there was significant loss even above those meter sizes in the 3 inch, the 4 inch, and the 6 inch. The 8, the 10, the 12, there really wasn't any loss or to the city whatsoever on that. And they're few and far between. We don't do very many tap installations on those sizes other than for big developments. And that's usually included in the fees that we take on in the development process. We recommended adopting a unified tap fee schedule, removing the rural category. There currently right now we have 2 rural residentials. With that being said, I think they've been in place for many, many years. We're not doing a lot of outside the city limits taps on our water lines. Therefore, to just save everybody some confusion, we want to just completely take away the confusion piece of that and just do any tap fee, regardless of in or out, the same fee schedule. Our tap fees haven't been updated since 2011. A recent cost evaluation showed that almost every meter size that is installed is a loss to the city, some over $1,000 below the actual cost. As you see here on this slide, the numbers in red show the financial loss to the city on each individual tap that we install. Last year, as I mentioned at the June meeting, we had 53 water line installations. This year, we're already at 46 year to date as of today. So that is a significant number that the city is taking on, that it's basically cost recovery at that point.
Do you, both of those kind of last year, this year, year to date, what's the average size? You know, kind of on these numbers of the 53.
The majority of the water lines that we do are 3/4 inch. It's a 5/8 meter with a 3/4 tap. So any size line that's in town for residential is going to be that 5/8 meter with a 3/4 tap. Now, if you get into a bigger home, that's going to be a 1-inch tap. Even bigger than that, you go a 2-inch if they branch off into like maybe a large apartment building or a fourplex. Usually they'll break that down. And even in the fact of if there's a fourplex or something, they'll do one individual 2-inch tap and then break it off into 2 meters every once in a while. Yes. But the majority of most all residential homes are your 1-inch to 3/4. There were questions asked in June about the responsibilities of who does what when it comes to the developer, the contractor, the plumber, and the city staff when it comes to meter installs. And the city performs all the utility side installation work. So what will happen is the contractor or the plumber or whatever will bring that service line to the property line. And at that point, the city will take it from there and install the meter pit, the meter itself, and the tap to the water main itself. This table shows the proposed tap fee schedule from 2025 through 2030. With a built-in 3.5% annual inflation adjustment, starting with the 2025 base value, which by the way is just pure cost recovery. There is no inflation in that cost of the 2025 rate. That is what it takes today to equal the cost. By 2030, the fees better reflect actual installation costs, helping prevent the financial losses we're currently experiencing. This change aligns with our strategic pillars by protecting the water fund, ensuring equitable treatment for all customers, and supporting responsible growth without burdening existing ratepayers. If unchanged, we'll keep losing over $1,000 per small tap. This proposal recovers actual costs starting in 2025. Legally, this requires a resolution update. Our city attorney has reviewed the proposal and supports the recommended changes. And with that, I stand for questions, or you can choose to approve the updated schedule now or defer consideration to allow for additional discussion.
Well, I for one think, yeah, we should recover our costs. I mean, that's kind of what the overall arching plan is for this, to cover our costs, labor and equipment. So I'm looking at page 19 under the analysis. It says that our average labor and equipment costs are $1,342. So that's labor and materials, but yet proposed installs are all over 2,000. So there's 1,000. I'm missing something there. Is there some other besides the equipment and labor costs that's not reflected here?
The current tap fee is the $1,325. What we're proposing is that was for the 3/4 inch. What we're proposing for the base value is the $2,379.
Okay, I get that. But under the word analysis, it says the evaluation showed average labor and equipment costs of $1,342 per installation. And so I'm thinking, well, if labor and equipment, what else is there in the installation process? Am I missing something?
Cost of materials.
So I think it's those two columns
Yes.
fed together. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Sorry. Yes. Cost of materials. I'm sorry,
Okay, so
Commissioner.
labor and equipment and cost of material.
Yes.
Is what is, okay.
Yep.
That was the link I was missing there.
Yep.
Okay.
Are there any
Director
other-
Sneeden. Yeah, Director Sneeden.
Yes.
This is Commissioner Kaler. I wonder if you could address the where the 3.5 increase, where percentage increase came. What was that based on? Where did that come from?
That was an analysis of over the years of what we are seeing as inflationary rates on the materials themselves. Some year they're 8%, some years they're 2.5%. So we kind of just went in the middle and went with a 3.5.
And as part of this, you're also requesting that we take future commissions take a look at this every 3 years, correct? So it'll be, if we pass this, it's an automatic trigger that every 3 years it should come up. And we do this with electric rates. We do this with other things in which we've set up kind of hallmarks in which that we will check these so that we don't have these long gaps as we do. So, because didn't you say since 2011 was the last time it was changed? There was a long gap between trying to true up. Is that correct?
Yes. And I'm glad you mentioned that. This falls right into line with our water utility rates themselves. Right now, we've got rate increases set until or through 2027. So that 3-year mark will put us right in a line with reviewing our tap fees and also reviewing our water rates throughout our whole classifications that we have. So yes, every 3 years we'll be taking a look at it, a hard look at it, but honestly, every year we will be taking a look at it and making sure that we are not way far off. If something were to be amiss with the materials, we will have to come back to you and look at amending this resolution.
I think it's totally fair that we try to recoup some of the losses, as we say, between what we're charging now and then what what we should be charging, as you say. But I also look at it like this, though. That house is going to sit there for probably the next at least 50 years, which is 600 months of utility bills. If we start to increase this fee and that fee and every other fee, it could eventually get to a point like I had a discussion with a contractor in Gardner, and their housing package permit fees are $13,000 now. So we're going to drive the cost up to a point that we might slow down building, which then at that point, that house isn't there. So then we don't lose money on the tap fee, but we also don't get 600 months worth of utility bills, at least 600 months worth of utility bills. So I commissioners, I'm certainly not willing to have make a decision today. And if you certainly want to go right ahead, I just think that you might want to reach out to some of your local builders and talk to them about maybe some of their concerns on these tap fees, if you haven't already. Because I've as an electrician, I've dealt with Evergy for 20 years, and Evergy will go a quarter mile without charging you anything because they know that you're going to pay a utility bill for the next however many decades, and they're just going to recoup it through that utility bill. So just something to think about.
Well, I guess that begs the question then on our water. Do we make money on selling water? Do we have a net profit of any kind, or is it just a break even as well with what it costs to clean water, to process our drinking water, to where we sell it?
We are actually in the process of trying to secure a cost of analysis.
Because I can appreciate what Commissioner Crowley's saying. I guess difference Evergy, they're a for-profit corporation. We're not. But at the same time, how do we make money if we're break even unless volume? I'm kidding.
Yeah.
That wouldn't work. But there's got to be a way that I can see where we need to have some kind of cost of what it costs us to do this. And if we're selling our water at cost, then this is the only, it makes sense to do this adjustment. Now, I'm not opposed to a Jorgensen pause on this because I think sometimes we do rush through things, and there's no rush on this. I assume we can wait another week if we had to or needed to. We're not really pressing anything right now, but I wouldn't have a problem with waiting another week as well.
Yeah, I will just kind of say I'm not really in favor of what by 2030 on most of these is between 2.5 and 3 times what the current tap fee is. And Commissioner Crowley's point, we start hitting that with water, electric meters. As we start doing that on every single thing, what do those costs kind of balloon to? Obviously, we prefer to not lose, but there is, you mentioned the lifespan of 50 years potentially for that meter once it is in the ground. And I'm assuming this is not on an infill lot that would have potentially an existing meter.
No.
Or do you on infills typically
No.
a meter pit?
And we looked at the infill side of it. Assistant Director Olson reached out to many communities of our same size. And quite honestly, no one is doing an infill lot. I mean, we're losing $300 every time we put a new meter in an infill lot that's being, but we figure that's a good wash because they're actually building a home and we want to promote that the developers or builders or whatever are filling in those infills, and we will just take that $300 loss off the meter off the top. My only question is that if you were to build outside in the rural areas, you're looking at 3, sometimes 4 times the amount of a tap fee. You know, recently a Rural Water One customer tap fee was $7,500. So just to kind of put it into comparison, and I know that we're not a rural user, but same way with the rural water district fees. You know, we're providing them our water, and the revenues and the usage aren't matching up. So,
Do you know, kind of comparing us, obviously it's not always apples to apples, or it's Gala and different types of apples. What other communities are kind of doing in terms of breaking even, making a profit, taking a loss? Just not exact dollar amounts, because their overhead would be different than ours, you know, their install costs, but their basic approach. Are they using it as a cash driver, or are they doing more like Evergy, you know, taking a hit on the meter because they know they're going to have long-term recurring revenue, kind of across other jurisdictions that do that?
that's a good question. I don't know that specifically was looked at, in the fact that we're just trying to basically recoup what it takes for us to. So regardless of what the other communities are doing, I mean, we reached out to other communities and talked to them about tap fees as well. And there's so many different types and structures. You know, it's like we talked about in June about there's fees for charging someone more because you have to bore across the street. Those instances in our staff's mind are so minimal that it doesn't really necessitate a different fee structure for that. They're going to be on site doing those things as it is. So we can definitely do that for sure and come back with that information.
Yeah, for me, I know, and it's kind of the world we live in, there's economies of scale where a developer coming in, bringing 30, 40 houses, they're going to have other incentives coming that help incentivize this portion of that development. And while I'm in favor of that, I don't want to completely negate this for folks building 1, 2, 10 houses a year, not being able to qualify for some of those kind of incentives, for lack of a better term, to offset their costs a little. So I definitely think it would be something I'd like to kind of see maybe what other places are doing, and look at that. I kind of reaction today would lead more towards a one-time increase, review again in 3 years, than the increase plus 3% annually. Or look at doing something where we do a smaller increase where we're not fully recovering today with that increase to kind of build into that in time.
This is Commissioner Kaler. I appreciate what you're saying there. Zach, I think that I'm really not, I know I'm more along the same lines with what you're talking about. However, what I'm not willing to do is, or what I'm opposed to is that if we've got, if we're already losing on just, the tap fees now, and we've been losing for quite some time, we have to cover our costs, period. We just cannot give things away for free, because you know what happens? It's not free. It's every other citizen is required to pay and has to pay for a new house that is being built. And I guess I'm not okay with that. I mean, and so I think that we have to recover what the basic cost is just for it, not the inflated. There's not an inflated cost. We have to cover the basic costs. And we can't pass it along to, the retired citizen that is living down the street from me. I mean, they shouldn't have to pay it over and over and over again. I mean, we're looking at what, over $50,000 loss from last year for tap fees that we didn't cover the basic costs. Is that right, Director Sneathen?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, I mean, $50,000. That's a salary. That's someone's. I mean, we cannot lose that, and we owe the citizens that are paying the bills every single day. We owe it to them to make sure that we recover the basic costs of tap fees.
Now I'm feeling along the same lines that we should at least recover our cost. I hate to be losing money on it, but I also do want to hear from our builders and developers, and also perhaps I had made a note to see kind of what other local communities were doing, how you had mentioned to kind of see what the standard is. So I'm in favor of having a pause, looking at this for an additional week, and then coming back and discussing it further. Is there consensus for that?
Fine with that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, okay. We'll take a look at this again next week and hopefully receive some feedback.
All right. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
We will now move on to item 11C.
South Haven final plat.
The application is for the final plat to allow for 23 residential lots. And we have City Manager Silcott for this.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. This is a subdivision going in off of 17th, and it's currently a church parcel that is facing 19th Street with an empty lot north to 17th. And again, it's 23 lots, single family, low density, residential on 5.7 acres, which with a cul-de-sac serving 17th Street. This is also commonly, if you see in other communities, you might see a name of like a court. That's often what this would be labeled as. And the green space requirement, which is in our subdivision regulations, is met with the payment in lieu of the on-site park space. And our preliminary and final plat received unanimous approval from the City Commission on April 24th, 2025. And I know everyone in the room here is familiar with the delay between when the Planning Commission approval is and when it proceeds to the commission. And that's often just finalizing construction drawings and state permitting, et cetera. This is a map of the area as I described, with 17th Street on the top side there and 19th below, with the property currently being that it's been lot split, and the subdivision would go on to would be obviously that large field to the north of the existing church. And the Planning Commission has determined that this final plat is in substantial conformity to our subdivision regulations, and all of our submission requirements have been met. The proposed resolution approves South Haven final plat, accepts all dedications, easements, and rights of way within the subdivision. Essentially what that means is we're accepting the dedication of streets, utilities, stormwater, drainage easements, et cetera, and other rights of way that are reflected on our final plat. And this is the image of the final plat for those of you that aren't able to access it electronically. And you can see that 17th Street would be up north, and the court proceeding down south for the cul-de-sac. The resolution's been authored by our city attorney, and he approves to form, and our Article 6 of our subdivision regulations empowers the approval of plats and to accept or refuse these dedications. And are there any questions for myself, or we have the developer, Mr. Bill Crowley, present as well to answer any questions that you might have?
Yeah, I'm curious, Ryan, on the city's green space requirement met through the payment of park fee in lieu of on-site park space. How do we determine that amount? Is that a certain formula for that?
Yes, it's an acreage requirement, and I don't have that exactly. I don't know if Director Landis has that from her time.
I'm just curious.
I believe it's $300 per lot. If you're not providing a park within your development,
Okay, and that money goes to what?
it goes to the special parks.
Special Parks and Rec
Special parks.
Department.
Okay, that's what I kind of thought.
Is there a size requirement on, with this being 23, if 5, is it 10? Do you know the number or size of lots or acreage? What kind of triggers that?
We're required to have a frontage of 50 feet and a depth of 120 for minimum lot size for single-family residential.
No, I mean on the green space, at what
Oh,
point, you know, a
the-
single family home doesn't have that requirement.
Yeah,
Is it 2? Is it 4?
I
Is it
don't
10,
believe we
20?
have
Do
that at this time.
Yeah, what number, do we know where that is required, becomes required?
The size of the
W-
park
We would need to check the resolution
and the subdivision regulations.
Yeah.
I notice these lots are a little bit smaller than the ones to the west. I guess that's still going to fit within, what do you call it, the ambiance, the curb appeal of these homes be very similar then, I suppose, to the ones
Yeah,
to the west?
The culture of the surrounding area,
Yeah,
yeah.
there we go. That's the one I'm looking
In
for.
fact, it would be conducive to, if you notice, it's almost all new construction to the west.
Okay, yeah. Oh. I mean, I think those homes to the west would be a little bit larger homes, it looks like, only because the lot sizes seem to be larger, but I guess that, I don't know for sure if that's the factor or
And I
not.
believe the starting value for the homes are estimated to be about 350,000
Okay.
and
All right.
And I know not as much relevant to the plat, but you'd mentioned, you know, that this was a church parcel before, so I'm assuming non-taxed
Correct.
for property taxes, so basically any increase is only
Only.
up.
Yes.
Are there any other questions for City Manager Silcott? Or the developer,
Mayor,
Commissioner?
I'll make the motion to approve item 11C and accept the final plat for South Haven as listed in the agenda.
Do we have a second?
Commissioner Taylor will second.
Go ahead. Second, that's fine. I wanted to add to it comments there. This is a great thing to have. I'm really excited about this infill of lots. It certainly fits within the realm of our residential analysis we had recently too. And so I'm excited to see things progressing quickly with those goals in mind. So I'm really excited about this project and want to thank Mr. Crowley for your participation and your investment.
Is there any other discussion?
Same thing. I just agree. I think, you know, this is down near Sunflower Elementary, near the middle school, the high school. You know, since the early 2000s, we've seen this area just completely transform from what was once fields to now how many homes. And so I think this will be a great addition on 17th. And I'm sorry to the people who potentially will live on the road, because I think there's going to be a lot of dogs using the restroom there because they've been used to the field for 30 years now. So
But the grass grows well.
yeah.
Good.
May I have roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley's abstaining. Mayor Pro Tem Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
And Mayor Allen?
And I vote yes, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item 11D.
Resolution making findings in connection with the South Haven RHID district.
This resolution makes findings regarding the need for housing within the city and includes the legal description for the proposed RHID district. And we have director, nope, we do
Ms.
not. McCurdy here.
We're throwing you for a little loop. Yeah. Thank you, Bo, for allowing me this opportunity. So let's go. All right. So we're bringing a resolution today before you that makes determinations and findings for need of housing within the city limits and sets forth some legal descriptions for designating a reinvestment housing incentive district, which from now on I will call an RHID, just so everyone's aware of what that acronym means. And while this governing board has heard a couple different RHID presentations this year, I thought I would just reiterate the for the public or those in attendance who may not have heard this before. There is a State of Kansas RHID Act. And so in the act, there are some requirements for finding and determinations related to this resolution. And they are that there is a shortage of quality housing, a variety of price ranges in the city, that this shortage can be expected to persist without additional financial incentives being given, and that the shortage of housing is a substantial deterrent to future growth and development of the city and for future well-being of the city, that the governing body should provide these incentives. And so this is related to the final plat that you just reviewed for South Haven Estates. So the city received an economic incentive application from Premier Home Development LLC requesting this. Obviously, you just approved the final plat, so there's where we're at on the planning side. The proposal for the this project is 23 single-family homes. They're going to be 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The size for the square footage will range from 1,500 to 1,700 square feet, and the market price for these homes will be $350 and up. This fits into the housing analysis study, which was commissioned by the Franklin County Development Council beginning at the top of the year. You all received that, but this fits within that because that study indicates over the next 5 years that the city of Ottawa will need 86 new homes in the price range of $350 to $449.99. So it fits nicely right in there with the needs. Now, the map we put in here today, and that's in the resolution, shows the entire parcel before the split. So as we progress through the incentive proceedings, that map will change in the future, but we did want to give you a visual of what we were talking about today. Talking about proceeding timelines. So today, this resolution here is the first step. So it's the first action item. It's the first time it's coming before you all today to talk about whether or not you recognize we do in fact have those 4 determinations that are in the state RHID Act, and whether or not you think this project in particular helps meet those needs. Currently with this resolution, there are no financial implications. There will be, and we will bring those back to you if we move forward in the incentive proceedings. And this resolution has been reviewed both by bonds counsel and by the city attorney. So with that, staff do recommend at this time that you consider the proposed resolution. We stand for questions, or if you want to defer this to a future meeting.
Do we have any questions?
I suppose the timeline on this will be very similar to the other RHID we have going on in town. We're looking at, is this kind of the normal, we think, timeline regarding before homes can be started?
So each project is unique because they have their own timelines, their own budgets, things like
Okay.
that. But this one will follow the proceedings here. So this resolution finding the need is the first step. Well, if you approve the resolution today, we will mail it off to the state of Kansas, the Commerce Department, and they will give approval for the project to move forward or not. That usually they approve them though, if the city finds that there is a need. And then we will start the formal application process and doing the feasibility study that is required by the RHID Act.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, again, this is a wonderful project. I'll make the motion. We approve item 11D on our agenda.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? May I have roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley is abstaining, and Mayor Allen.
And I vote yes, motion carries. Thank
Thank
you. We will next move on to item 11E.
Resolution approving ballot language.
The governing body will consider a resolution to approve ballot language for submission to the county clerk for placement on the November 4th, 2025 general election ballot. And we have City Attorney Finch.
And we can call Commissioner Crowley back in. Is he here?
Well, good afternoon, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. Last week, when we discussed this issue, we had given you some kind of not necessarily model language, but maybe a first attempt at it, a first draft at the language. And what you have before you today is kind of a revision to that resolution, and I believe this is in final or hopefully close to final form for your consideration. I would note that we have changed the language that you saw last week in a couple of ways. I'd like to go through those with you and then stand for any questions that you may have. First, we've tried to simplify the language. The first hallmark of the law in Kansas is that a ballot should be not misleading and should be understandable to the average voter who reads it. And so we've tried to clarify and simplify where possible in the ballot language to make it as understandable as possible. Second, we have broken out all of the items so that as you see on the page you have, and I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but we have separated each subpoint so that it stands alone and it's more readable to someone who is looking at that on a ballot, and hopefully would be easier to follow. You'll note that there are 5 things happening with this general purpose sales tax. So it's for general purposes, including but not limited to the funding of street infrastructure improvements, including maintenance and rebuilding of roads, sidewalks, stormwater facilities, and street lighting, development, construction, and maintenance of city parks, quality of life amenities, and recreational facilities for the community. The third thing would be the improving, rebuilding, and maintaining of city utility infrastructure. The fourth thing is to fund general government operations to limit reliance on property taxes. And finally, a catch-all that is all things related and necessary to construct and finance such projects, including bonds and other obligations. You'll recall last week I talked about that notion of being able to use sales tax revenues to support general obligation bonds that the city issues. That gives you a lower interest rate. That saves money for the citizens of the community in the long term. And then we simplified the last paragraph, provided that such tax shall take effect July 1, 2026, the day following the expiration of the existing 1% special purpose city retailer sales tax. You recall at the first draft, we kind of referenced the ordinance. That's a very attorney-ish thing to do. We just reference the prior enactment, but I think it's much more understandable to a person who reads this now that we're talking about the 1 cent that exists today expiring, and then the new tax beginning the day after, so that essentially when you buy something on June 30, 2026, it will cost the same as it would on July 1, 2026 in terms of sales tax. There's no increase here, but it is not a continuation or an extension. It is in fact a conversion from that special purpose tax that goes away to the new general purpose tax. So we also looked at the city of Lennox's issue in that they just did, and theirs is interesting because they did it in 2025 for a renewal in 2028. So they were actually years ahead of the renewal for their they do a general purpose tax. But we use some of their language in terms of street improvements and recreational amenities, and I think it was a good guidepost and a little bit clearer. And so that's kind of what we tried to do with this. We think it complies with the statute. It complies with the Attorney General's opinion from 2008. If I'll stand for any questions you may have.
I know it was mentioned at the last meeting. Did we need to include the word construction of for streets, or do we think maintenance and rebuilding is sufficient?
Because down in E, we have to do all things related and necessary to construct and finance such projects.
Yep.
I think we got that piece covered.
Very good.
And that includes all of those things. So that would include construction that may take place in parks, construction that may take place with regard to city utility infrastructure. And I would note that those are the priorities that were identified in the community survey, kind of in the order that people prioritize them. So.
And just to make clear, everybody understand, this will go into perpetuity until such time we would vote to cause it to expire. So that's how this would work, I assume, right?
Yep.
Good.
Are there any other questions? How would we like to proceed?
Madam Mayor, I'll make the motion. We approve item 11E on our agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further
Mr.
discussion?
Kaler will second.
May I have roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Mayor Pro Tem Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
I'm going to vote yes for this motion and for the ballot issue. So yes.
Commissioner Kaler? Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
And Mayor Allen?
And I vote yes, motion carries. Okay, we will move on to comments by our city manager.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. Just some highlights of what's going on in our community. We have the Surfing USA concert that was held on August 16th, and we had 265 attendees for that concert. We have the Instamatics coming up in November, and we have a fundraiser for one of our local country music fans, Millie, and one of her favorite performers is doing the benefit, Jeremy McComb, who has a connection here to the area and the city, and we're appreciative of what he's doing and always coming back to support that family connection. On Saturday, November 15th, our utilities, we got our water distribution and wastewater collection, repairing a small leak on South Cherry, and also continuing with our hydrant flushing operations and preparation and operations, and public works streets, trim vegetation in and around the school zone for site triangle and signage, and patch 295 potholes using 41 tons of asphalt. Some of you may have attended that are viewing at home or in the audience here, our Airport Fun Day. I know Mayor Allen was out helping to MC the entire event from takeoff to landing. Sorry, I stole your thunder there, Commissioner Skidmore.
I love it.
But we want to also point out that this event wouldn't have occurred without the participants, both the aviators who graciously flew their aircraft in and what was initially an instrument flight condition as we started because we had the rain coming in, but then it quickly around 8:30, 9 o'clock had gone to full VFR and visual flight. And so we were even able to get the skydivers in, and that was quite a thing to view. But we want to thank our Airport Advisory Board. They really are the ones that do the planning for this event starting quite literally in September for the following year. And those are Chad Kaler, Cal Landis, Jack Miller, Andrew Hume, Doug McMullen, Clark Rain, and Mayor Allen is the City Commission representative on the board. And we also noted Jen Sharp, who is a former member of our advisory board and also was one of the folks. She used to own Skydive Kansas until taking a position with the U.S. Parachute Association at their national headquarters. And she and some of her friends did the jump in for the flag and national anthem, and also keyed us off to Milton and Scott Bowers, who Milton Scott and Robert Bowers, my apologies, who are the two adults who have been bringing the expertise and really holding our Explorer post together. And both of them are in the aviation sector trades. And if it weren't for them, their Piper Cherokee, it's a 140, would not have be their club plane, because they're both, again, aviation aircraft and power plant mechanics. So we want to thank them for their 10 years of service on the Explorer Post's 10th year of operations. And also want to make a point of highlighting that this event on the day-to-day couldn't have happened if it weren't for Jim Reeder, who is our FBO, our fixed-based operator out at the airport, our public works administrative professional, Lisa Boras, of course, our public works director, DJ Welsh, and the public works team, everyone coming out from as what we showed at the last commission meeting with doing some patch concrete repairs on our taxiway to make sure that things were smooth and in order for those flying in for the event, to helping set everything up and break everything down. So we're appreciative of that. And then yesterday and last evening was the OU Fusion event and our Parade of Champions. And so here's some images of that. And I appreciate everyone who came out and the commission who gave their time to welcome the students and to celebrate the success of our Ottawa High School and Ottawa University championships that have been won over the past year. some upcoming community events. We have our yard sale sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce and the Rec Commission on September 5th through 7th. On September 6th, we'll have music with Brews, Beats, and Boutiques for Ottawa Main Street. And that'll be from 11 to 9 on September 6th. And then September 12th through the 14th will be the Antique Engine and Tractor Show in Forest Park. And then we all know what follows behind the tractor show. So the car show is not far behind. We'll want to highlight our current open positions. If anyone's looking for employment or knows someone, we have our assistant city clerk position that's been historically been filled, but there's a vacancy, and so we've froze that vacancy, and now we're moving forward with that. We have our director of neighborhood and community services and 2 golf course positions with a seasonal, a full pro shop attendant and a seasonal grounds worker. And then we have our timeline there for the neighborhood and community services director, with that position now being open. And we'll begin our resume review on September 29th, with that closing on September 25th. And we'll hope to have interviews scheduled October 6th and 7th and or the 13th and 14th of this year if needed. And then our upcoming agenda items for next week will be all entirely focused on the budget. And then the items that were deferred today with our tap fee for our water rates, we'll present that the meeting following the 3rd, the 10th of September. So if you have any questions over what we've covered for myself or another member of the team, we're happy to answer them at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll go on to comments by the governing body. We'll start with Commissioner Skidmore.
Well, yeah, I wanted to say the airport day was a great crowd. I was glad to see a lot of people there in spite of the weather. I had an enjoyable time sitting at breakfast, breakfast with a gentleman from Massachusetts. He's been there before. He's a former Navy pilot and gave a presentation. I wasn't able to stay around for that. But what is fascinating to me, he told me this story, and I assume it's true, was that the old Kansas City airport is downtown, just on the north edge of downtown. Anybody remembers that? I do. Maybe a few people don't. But he talked about a plane took off from there, heading to Chicago, and it was the type of plane that had an engine on each wing and then on the tail. And soon after he took off, he lost one engine on the wing, and then soon he lost the other engine on the wing. So he was flying with one smaller engine on the tail, and thought, what do I do? And as it turned out, KCI was just being built. It wasn't open yet, and they had poured the runway. And he made an emergency landing at KCI. And so the first landing at KCI was actually an emergency landing. People may not know that, but if you're on Jeopardy and that question comes up, now you know the question to make for that. But anyway, I thought it was a great, interesting story. This guy flew in from all the way from Massachusetts in his Bonanza, and I just think it's great that we can have that much of a draw from people coming that far away to our little airport show. So I'm glad for all the people involved in that and making it happen. Thank you for your contribution, and looking forward to next year already.
Commissioner Crowley.
No comment.
Commissioner Kaler.
No comment at this time.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Clade.
Again, I'll just bring up the Parade of Champions last night. It was a beautiful night. So I think it was Ryland who had ordered the weather this year instead of last year. That was you? Okay. Well, thankful for whoever did that. It was great this year that the high school got to participate. And there was great community support kind of behind OU students and their success, and then also local high school students. So just want to keep plugging that, and hopefully we can make that, an annual thing to really support those students in our community. Fall sports are kicking off in 6 minutes. I think volleyball starts right at Piper. So fall sports for the high school are kicking off. So busy fall for a lot of parents in town. September's a busy month. Ottawa Main Street Association is doing a mum sale that will culminate and have delivery at the Brews, Beats, and Boutiques event on September 6th. But you can pre-order anytime up to then. And then this week, Mayor Allen and I and some city staff were lucky enough to get to go to a World Cup meeting, or World Cup prep meeting, that Sharice David's office held. And it's just exciting to hear a lot of the things coming, talking about our airport, the potential impacts that, overflow from Kansas City as these planes are needing places to park or fuel up. Pilots are needing lodging, all the things in that. And then as well, just general folks in town are already looking at hotel rooms, which is amazing for next summer. So it's a great opportunity that I know I'm excited about, and I think others are as well. And so that's all.
Thank you. And just kind of seeing the pictures from all the events that have happened recently, it just kind of made me tired all over again because I forgot how much we have done this week. And so, yeah, between Airport Fun Day and Fusion last night and the parade and meeting about World Cup and all of those things, it's been a busy time in Ottawa. So that is all I have. We'll move on to announcements. On September 3rd, we have a City Commission meeting at 7 p.m. September 10th, City Commission meeting at 4 p.m. September 17th, City Commission meeting at 10 a.m. And September 24th, City Commission meeting at 4 p.m., all here at City Hall. And seeing no other business before us, I will adjourn.